Picture this. You lose your key, your house key, on the way to work. The person you've been carpooling with, you work with them, you hang out with them on your days off, and then also you guys carpool together. He insists, I'll change the locks while you're at work because he happens to be off that day. When you come home from a long 9-hour shift, the moment you turn your new key into your apartment, you open the door and all of their items are moved in. You have never previously discussed that person moving in. Well, I'm Natalie. Welcome to A Fabulous Life of Natalie. If you're new, thank you for joining. Please make sure you like and hit the subscribe button. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you about the times I was stalked, fatal attraction, or just weird things happened to me and I happen not to listen to my intuition. So make sure you stay tuned because I am going to save the best story for last. Alright guys, let me shine some light on my background before I get into these bizarre encounters. I feel like generally I'm a good person, and with that mindset I feel like if you're generally good, you believe that everyone around you is good. But if you're generally not so good, you may also have the mindset that everyone's not so good. So I believe that everyone was like me up to a couple years ago when I had to change my mindset of thinking not everyone is like me. I believe I have this gift where I have a good sense of intuition. I first discovered this gift about 10 years ago, and that's when I was explaining in the beginning the guy that made a key secretly, which I'll get into it, but he made a key secretly and got into my apartment. Based on that story, when I first met him, my first general impression of him is that he had crazy eyes. Like, can't really describe it. I don't know if it was my intuition at that point or if it was just me not really realizing it. But crazy eyes to me, and my intuition was telling me not to trust him because he had these eyes that looked crazy. Like, I don't know if you guys ever felt like someone was a little bit off based on their eyes. Like, he just had a look in his eyes that told me not to trust him fully. But like I said, me just now discovering my gift, or me just now being aware of it, I kind of put it on the back burner and ignored it. And yeah, I've always heard the eyes are the gateway to someone's soul, and I ignored my intuition, and here's what happened. Also, the guy liked me, and I didn't really like him. Like, attraction-wise, he wasn't attractive to me. He was okay, he was cool, but I also felt like we didn't click. You know, like how you talk to someone and you click and you conversate and you bounce off of each other. Like, it would always get to a moment with me that I would talk to him and then it would just get awkward and he would stare at me and then he'll be like, what? And I'd just be like, what? Long story short, I either lost my key on the way to work or at work. And at this time, he was not on the same off days that I was off. And he had said, you know, I had left the door unlocked because I didn't have a key. And he was like, I'll go pick you up a key, I can change your locks for you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, went to work, a long 8-hour shift. And when I came home, he was like, here's your key, because he was my ride. I opened the door and he had moved in all of his clothes. That was the first impression. I opened my door and seen, you know, the DVD stacks with all of the DVDs that was in there, his shoes, clothes, and he was like, yeah, you know, I figured we work together. I figured, you know, I give you a ride and we hang out, but I can move in. And I was just like, no, like, you can't move in, you gotta move all your stuff out. Like, no, like, this was never discussed. And he thought it was okay. So he had, at that point, he didn't have any kids. At that point, he didn't have any kids. He lived with his parents, so I felt like it was just easy for him to just up and pick everything up and move. And like I said, I didn't have it, and I was so frustrated, and I was angry, but I guess I was so frustrated I forgot to ask for my key back. But what really took the story overboard was a couple weeks later, I was asleep. Back then I was OCD. I'm not so much OCD now, but whatever it was, I remember it was was a toy or something on the floor, I picked it up and faced it a certain way and put it on my entertainment center. And I think I had the theory of I thought someone was coming in my apartment, but I really wasn't sure. So I remember, went to bed, went to work. I was continuing getting a ride from this guy, right? I don't know where I was. I don't know where I was mentally. But fast forward, we had went to work, Ryan went to work, and I think he got there later. Another important fact is that he was really cool with the store manager, and eventually he was asking for the same days off I was off without my acknowledgement. But on this day in particular, I got to work first, and do you know he came by me and whispered in my ear like, I like the color underwear you had on last night. The gold ones. And I was just like, oh no, you gotta give me my key now. And from that day forward, I stopped talking to him. I stopped associating with him because I felt like he was a creep, and he warned me of, his behavior multiple times. He showed me who he was, and I kept ignoring it. So I just cut him off. I started getting my own ride home from work. I eventually got my car back up and going, and I stopped associating with him. But that's just to warn you, or for me, like it told me the life lesson was, because life's about lessons. It told me like, I warned you not to associate with this guy. We realized he had crazy eyes. You still talk to him. Realized that you guys really didn't have too much in common. I was like trying to force it because I believe everybody has good in them, and I try to bring the good out. So even though I was conversating with the guy and it was always an open-ended conversation, I always ended the conversation, or he looked at me and said, what? And it was just always awkward. I feel like I always gave him an opportunity, and he showed himself to me. Like, to me, now looking at it, I don't know, I probably would have behaved different as far as my actions of just cutting him off. I probably would have told him about himself, but I just cut him off. So, lesson learned. All right, here's the second time I should have listened to my intuition. At my job, there was a guy, and the first thing he said to me was, I don't know what he said to me, but I was just like, hi or whatever. But like, keep in mind, like when I'm in my job, my mind frame is just like focused on my job. Like I've had so many people tell me, I've tried to say hi to you. I've seen you out in the club and try to say hi to you, and you don't. I've seen you at work and you don't say nothing, but it's like my mind's focused. So anywho, keep that in mind. So he must have tried to say something, and I probably didn't hear him, but he was like, when you talked, you spoke like you said something. He said you spoke like a different language, and I was just like, what? Like, I don't know. So I got this energy from him that told me like something's off. Something's off. I don't know what it is. So anyway, that day, I chose to ignore my intuition. Anyway, that day, he asked for my Facebook. So I gave him my Facebook, told him I was married, because he was like, let's go to the gym together, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm married, can't do all that. I don't mind being friends. Here's my Facebook. So I do this side thing where someone sends me a dress, kind of like an Instagram model, but it's not as Instagram model. You know what I'm saying? Like I just posted to my story. So I had posted it on my Facebook because I posted on all my platforms. And when I posted it to my story, he immediately liked it. And we all know stories delete in 24 hours. So the story deleted. I posted a story on a Friday, and come work Sunday, he was just like, oh, that dress, blah, 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 that dress you posted. And I was just like, yeah, thank you. And so that was the first day of work. Second day of work, all the dress, da, da, da. And I was like, okay. So then Father's Day came up. I posted my husband on Facebook. No answer from him. And every time I started realizing that every time I would post only a dress, he would respond with, oh, a dress. And it got to the point where it takes a lot for me to feel uncomfortable. He made me feel so uncomfortable. So I got to the point where I ignored it. I blocked him on Facebook. When I blocked him on Facebook at work, he stopped talking to me. I don't know what it was. It was a good sign, honestly, because like I said, he made me feel uncomfortable. If you were just talking about, and it would be bizarre, he would say stuff like, You made my wildest fantasy come true by posting a picture of you in a dress. It's all I've ever thought about, and you posted it, which it was a story. And the moment that the story disappeared, I guess he didn't realize it was a story. He started acting weird. Why did you delete it? Why didn't you tell me he was going to delete it? Why don't you post it again? So it got to the point where, like I said, I felt uncomfortable. So I blocked him before it got as far as it could have possibly gotten. And he just stopped talking to me at work. So, I don't know, that's kind of weird to me, but it is what it is. My intuition told me not to associate with him. I ignored it. Look what happened. All right, this is by far the best story of all the stories of how I should have listened to my intuition. I told you I was going to save the best for last, and here it is. Never in my whole entire life have I ever experienced anything as bizarre as this. This is going to be the last time I try to tell the story, because I believe in me. Keep saying it. I've told it to multiple people. I believe in me. Keep saying it. It's manifesting, and it's going to only allow it to happen again. So this is going to be the last time I explain the story. If anybody at work asks me about it, I'm going to say, go to my YouTube. So I am burying this story, but you guys get it. You guys get it. Never in my whole entire life have I ever had anything this bizarre happen to me, right? My current job, I wound up transferring, right? You guys, if you were keeping up with me, knew I moved from Southern Indiana, Kentucky to Tampa, right? Before I moved, I was in a department at my job. I wound up transferring department and transferring shifts, okay? So my shift before I transferred, I knew a guy, an older guy, and he was telling me how his daughter was going to be in the department that I was transferring in, and he wanted to introduce me to her. Keep in mind, like I said, when I'm working, and I'm just focused usually on working, unless someone comes up to me with a good conversation. But I was new, so I didn't really associate with anybody. So when he introduced me to his daughter, she had it, boom, the crazy eyes. Like she was, I can't describe it, looked like something was off. But the moment he introduced me to her, we started talking, became friends, and we also like had a group of friends together. She had insisted that, you know, we all go out to eat because one of her friends was going through something and she needed a group of positive people, good vibes, to interact with. So I realized every time we hung out, we went out to eat one day, just me and her. The moment we went in, we sat down. I don't know where we went. It was like a Mexican restaurant. She was like, that waitress thinks we're gay. That waitress thinks we're a gay couple. And it got to the point when I was just like, dude, I can no longer take this. So it got to the point, like I said, what really like sent me overboard was, what's going on with my husband? What's going on with my husband? What's going on with my husband? So I started little by little separating myself from her, distancing myself from her. I kept sitting at the table only because the microwave was there. In the big warehouse I work at, you would have to walk a distance from the microwave, but I stopped talking to her. It would be yes, no answers only. And I guess eventually she got it, but she wanted to send me overboard with it. One of the most disturbing things she told me, I guess trying to get a reaction. I realized now everything she was doing, she was wanting some kind of reaction because I'm pretty much, it takes a lot for me to like go off on you. But somebody had a Tommy Hilfiger on shirt, and she was like, look at that shirt. I think it says half. You know, that one word. And I just looked at her and was just like, I just shook my head and kept going. And it got to the point that's where I felt like she just wanted me to feed into it, and I didn't give it to her. Later on, I found it out she really liked me because I was trying to get promoted. I'm still trying to get promoted at my job. But someone pulled me inside and told me that was friends with her, and they like follow up with the interview questions that they're going to ask you when you get promoted. He pulled me inside and was like, look, what happened with you and old girl? I was like, look, this is what happened. I laid everything out. And he was like, I don't know if you realized it or not, you know, because they were friends, that she had a crush on you. Just a friendly crush, you know, and I was just like, well, this explains everything. She just didn't know how to handle herself. But It was bizarre, dude, to get drilled 24/7 about if you're gay, if you're not gay. Why do you always gotta match? What's going on with your husband? I thought he wasn't gonna be with him. I thought he was stranded for so long. I thought he was gonna look for somebody. Oh, another important fact. This is what had me guessing that this girl's on something else. This girl's on something else. I spoke about it before, how I had a private page. She asked to see the pictures I was posting. She would ask, like, I just want to see if it's okay. I want to see if you're gonna, get many subscribers on this page. Let me see what you're gonna post. And when I would be at work, if a guy went by and waved at me, and we would just be eating and talking, somebody waved at me, I waved back. She just, who is it? Who is it? I want to make sure they're not kidnapping you. And I'm just like, what is your problem? This is not normal behavior. This is not normal behavior at all. And I took so much before I realized, like, dude, this relationship with this person is causing me more stress than anything. So I just cut her off. I messaged her like, hey, this is why I'm cutting you off. But what really kind of sent me overboard as well, towards the end, for a fact, of this relationship is, like I said, she was looking for a reaction. She told me one day we were eating lunch, wasn't eating pizza. Nobody was eating pizza. Out of nowhere, she says to me, did you hear how it took Papa John's a long time to stop saying a certain word? Did you hear that? And I just looked at her and I said, no, like, I still continue to eat Papa John's. That's not gonna stop me from eating Papa John's. And she was just like, oh, I just wanted to say that. And then I told my husband about all this stuff when he got back. And because, when he got back and I told her he got back, that's what kind of, like, I think sent her overboard, is that I was interested in somebody and that I wouldn't be able to hang out with her as much because I do have a family, I do have a husband. He was like, well, why don't we just go out to eat together? Maybe she just needs to see me. And I'm just like, I'm not proven that I have someone. Like, I'm not. And what's so crazy is I could continue being her friend and still being a wife to my husband. But I guess she was just so selfish or just so crazy and messed up in the head. I don't know what she wanted. I just knew at the end of the day, my intuition, my first impression of her crazy eyes that reflected back to the first story of the guy with the crazy eyes somehow tied in together, and I shouldn't have never started speaking to her because I felt like I would have avoided this, I would have avoided this. But yeah, she was really gone. She was really, really gone, dude. I've never, ever in my whole entire life experienced that. That is the last time I'm sharing that story. And that's all I got for you guys today. If you like these stories explaining how I should listen to my intuition, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Until next time. Bye. Oh yeah, guys, don't forget to follow me on my Instagram at Natune_Natalie.